New record highs, not just for gold, but also for Bitcoin. The cryptocurrency climbed to over $125,000 over the weekend.
And last night, it hit a new all-time high again. Now even the mainstream is talking about the debasement trade and recommending Bitcoin. People are talking about the end of the system here, and that Bitcoin could now be the safe haven. They're talking about this October here.
But maybe it's really just October?
And guys, at the same time, we have Blackrock releasing new data that's absolutely massive. It shows us that we're right on the edge of a parabolic breakout. This is when it really gets fun, when things really take off. The party isn't in full swing yet, but it's about to really ignite. Blackrock is now making more money with Bitcoin, relatively speaking, than with anything else. What was released here is so massive because Blackrock now has a huge incentive to pump up the Bitcoin price. And I've been telling you this for a very, very long time. And now it's actually playing out. You really have to connect the dots properly here. We're now entering the price discovery phase. There's also something exciting from strategy that I have to tell you in a moment. Let's dive into all of this, guys. I need all the support I can get. Take a second real quick. Smash that like button below for new all-time highs, new record levels here with Bitcoin. As a thank you, I'll also show you the happy October Bitcoin all-time high altar from last night right here. How did you celebrate the all-time high? One all-time high after another right now. And what I find so crazy at the moment, and we'll get to the TV reports, wealth, and much more in a second, is this. What's so wild here is that this whole pump in the entire price rally, now from 110,000, is leading to new all-time highs and so on. Of course, it's always volatile right now. Sometimes we break through to new all-time highs, then we dip just below, then we go just above again. But the crazy thing is that the next big FUD topic is now off the table because we've managed this entire rise without Saylor buying massive amounts of Bitcoin. In the past, people always said, yeah, Bitcoin only pumps because Saylor is buying. If Saylor doesn't buy, then Bitcoin doesn't go up. No. As we can see, Bitcoin is rising even without Saylor. Now it's even happening without major liquidations and so on. There are actually some big spot purchases happening here, and at the same time, there's still not much interest from retail investors. At the same time, if you Google AI or AI bubble, people are really searching like crazy. This just shows that Bitcoin is actually a much crazier investment than AI, because AI is a consensus trade. Everyone knows and everyone says AI is going through the roof. With Bitcoin, a lot of people aren't even aware yet. And that's what I've been telling you here for a long time. Since 2020, Bitcoin up over 1,000%, fiat money down 20%, gold up 160%. I've been saying it all along. And now people are slowly starting to get it. And now all these people are coming back in as the Bitcoin price is rising. The Bitcoin price is going up because the Bitcoin price is going up. Now the media are getting involved. We'll take a look at the report from Wealth in a moment, too. Really ultra bullish. They're actually recommending buying Bitcoin here. And all of this is happening in the mainstream. See you soon. Here, the basement trade is in full swing. You can see it here. Boom, the American dream priced in US dollars versus Bitcoin. US house prices have gone up by over 50% since 2020, but when you look at it in Bitcoin, they've crashed. Here you can see it in Bitcoin. Boom, crashed. In dollars it goes up. That's what you need to know. Bitcoin is the hurdle rate. Everything you buy here that loses value against Bitcoin is basically a Bitcoin. That means houses here, at least as an investment, are down compared to Bitcoin. And now let's get to Blackrock. Now, seriously, hold on tight. Here, IBIT, just under $100 billion, is by far the most profitable ETF for Blackrock right now. Based on the current assets under management, take a look at the age of the rest of the top 10 ETFs. It's just absurd, guys. Absurd. And this is being posted here by Eric Balciunas, a Bitcoin ETF specialist. You can see it here too. Revenue in millions here is 244 million, and assets under management are lower than the iShares in the Russell 1000. That means fewer assets under management, but higher returns. How is that even possible? That's just insane. BlackRock has the ultimate incentive to pump Bitcoin even higher right now. And the crazy thing is this too. Nothing all that special has even happened yet. The price of Bitcoin is rising and is now at an all-time high level. Of course, we could see a slight correction again and so on. But the strategic Bitcoin reserve hasn't even arrived yet. It's not like the dollar has collapsed or anything like that. No, Bitcoin is just doing Bitcoin things. It just needed its time. Now, the sellers are probably out of the market. Of course, the sentiment turns bullish, then data like this comes out, and eventually retail investors will jump back in too. It's always the same upward spiral happening here, and don't say this wasn't predictable, because it was all signaled in advance. If you've at least subscribed to the channel here, that's why go ahead and hit the subscribe button below, because everything that's happening here, you knew about it if you subscribed to this channel. You probably knew it since the beginning of the year, or, well, I don't know when I first talked about Q4 here. We'll turn quite bullish, but that's actually completely and utterly normal here within the halving cycle, that it's always the very last Q4 in the entire last halving cycle, in the last, how do you say, the final part of the halving cycle, that things truly go up. And we can also see here, for example, others like MSCI, EAF, here Gold Twist ETF, Just take a look at this. iShares Gold ETF. They have here, well, not quite less than half, but here, 150 million. And in comparison, if we just go through this, there are some ETFs down here. Just take a look at this. iShares Core MSCI here has a higher asset under management, almost 50 billion more assets under management, but still less revenue here. And it's really simple. Higher fees bring in more inflows. Higher fees mean higher income from ETF fees. What does BlackRock want? They want higher Bitcoin prices. I've told you this so many times. People then said, and yeah, I get the criticism. BlackRock is a centralization risk. But BlackRock isn't going to ruin Bitcoin, and BlackRock is just going to keep pumping the price higher. And one thing you have to remember, when the biggest asset managers in the world are making the highest profits with Bitcoin, it's not a coincidence. It's a paradigm shift that's happening here. Earlier, I was on the phone with someone. I'm not going to tell you the name. But of course, this person also has a very, very deep understanding of all the markets that are currently out there. And I also told them, hey guys, back in the day, people used to look up to the guys in suits on Wall Street. Nowadays, people look at some anonymous meme accounts on X who understand what's really going on in the world better than any suit-wearing Wall Street type. This kind of knowledge is so rare. There are such asymmetric opportunities to the upside. People who are getting in now are really the first movers here, part of a financial revolution, and some random folks on X, some meme accounts or shit posters, they actually get what's going on here. Wall Street hasn't fully grasped it yet, but that could change, because this is huge. A new special report from Morgan Strategy shows that we want to support our financial advisors and clients so they can flexibly use cryptocurrencies as part of their multi-asset portfolios. GIC oversees 16,000 advisors who manage client assets worth $2 trillion. We're entering the mainstream era. Milk area. That means financial advisors are going to pitch Bitcoin even more now. This was posted here by Hunter Horsley from Bitwise. And this is a really, really big deal if these financial advisors are going to bring Bitcoin further and further into the mainstream. And if they proactively tell their clients, hey folks, what do you think? Do you want to throw 2, 3%, or maybe 5 or 10% into Bitcoin? And then there will be small allocations, not like putting 80% into Bitcoin, but people who are with these asset managers or banks, financial advisors, and so on, they'll start making even higher Bitcoin allocations or maybe their very first Bitcoin allocations. And now, please take a look at this report, and then you have to let me know afterwards whether you're bullish or not so bullish on Bitcoin. For me, this made me super bullish. Seeing this report here, I won't give too much away yet, but it's about Bitcoin on mainstream TV.
New record highs all the time, not just for gold, but also for Bitcoin. The cryptocurrency rose to over $125,000 over the weekend. On the one hand, more and more institutional investors are putting their money into Bitcoin. On the other hand, many are expecting further interest rate cuts from the U.S. central bank. And with low interest rates on traditional bonds, people are more willing to take on higher risks, and that includes Bitcoin. After the recent price surge, Bitcoin's market capitalization is around $2.5 trillion. That's according to calculations by the provider CoinMarketCap. The overall market for digital currencies is currently valued at about $4.3 trillion. And now joining us is Askin Arity, Head of Portfolio Management at Plutus Asset Management. A warm welcome to you here at Welt.
Good day, nice to meet you.
I've already mentioned a few reasons for Bitcoin's rise, but could it just be the October?
Excuse me, they're already talking about the October pump on TV here. Let's go, folks.
Because for more than a decade now, Bitcoin has almost always gone up in October.
Yes, but so has gold, and we see that both actually play into the same theme. The fear of government debt is spreading, and so are the supposedly safe investments in this context. So, in that sense, it's all about what bite has money.
Yay, we did it. The mainstream is now calling Bitcoin a safe haven here. Did you hear that? The flight from currencies is beginning, and now the mainstream has caught on too. What I've been trying to explain to you here for years, Bitcoin is a risk-off asset, is now also recognized by the mainstream.
And alternatively, both Bitcoin and gold are what's rising. And in a way, it's like this. On the one hand, we have sellers, this also applies to Bitcoin, who are definitely looking for a safe haven here. But on the other hand, of course, some speculative money has now also been attracted. And both of these factors are driving up the prices for Bitcoin, and I'll say it again, also for gold.
JP Morgan is expecting Bitcoin to reach up to $165,000. Do you as well? So, in your opinion, is it still worth getting in now?
It's always hard to say, after a big rally, that things will just keep going up spectacularly. Overall, the circumstances haven't changed. We can see in US politics that there's simply no stopping when it comes to taking on new debt. The current dispute is proof of that too. We see the same thing in Europe, in France.
And in the background, lightning payments are just running. So epic. Guys, here, the system is collapsing. Bitcoin, the safe haven. Just awesome. I mean, not that the system is collapsing, but that this here. See that this is happening, because so often it's always denied in the mainstream, like, no, everything's fine, inflation's under control, everything's good.
With the government crisis, but also in Germany with a very sluggish government, the economic successes are just not within reach, and that's why, of course, they like to just expand government debt. None of this is good, and it just keeps adding to the tailwind for Bitcoin, but also for gold. I'll say it again here, it's basically the same issue for both.
I was just about to ask about gold again. So, for both gold and Bitcoin, you're advising caution if someone wants to get in now.
We've seen with precious metals that recently silver has surged strongly. That's always kind of the alternative when people think gold has gotten too expensive. But the truth is, silver is definitely the more volatile investment, because storage is also much more expensive. I do think we've already come quite a long way on this journey, but that doesn't mean the journey is over. In the long run, Bitcoin and gold, and let's stick with gold for now, are still promising investments simply because of their limited supply and restricted production, although they don't pay any interest.
Yeah, the interest argument is obviously nonsense. Why would I care about interest if I'm making something like 100% per year? But in any case, Bitcoin is definitely a recommendation here in the mainstream. So, it's not being said that it's bad. In fact, quite the opposite. It's clear that you can definitely do this. You can go for it. If you want cash flow, then you need something else. But by now, there are even cash flow ETFs available here. I can't even remember what it was called. IBIT, I think. There's also the IBIT options ETF now. Then there's MSTY, IMST. If you want cash flow, you can also buy the strategy products and so on. So, you can even generate cash flow with Bitcoin these days. Or you can use your Bitcoin as collateral to get fiat loans, which is also basically a kind of cash flow. Or you can just do covered calls yourself, option strategies, and so on. So, there are definitely ways to generate cash flow here.
And the question is, how will things continue with economic recovery and with central bank policy, because both could ultimately make investing a bit chaotic.
Yeah, if central banks become disciplined again, then things won't look so good for Bitcoin, of course. So, Bitcoin will still prevail, but just not as quickly. But the likelihood of that happening is 0.00312% or 0.00031%. Write it in the comments. How likely is it that central banks will return to sound monetary policy?
So let's take a look at what's next for stocks. We keep seeing record highs in the indices, at least on Wall Street. But the DAX isn't far from its record high either. Where's it all headed?
That's exactly what I meant. Because I actually think the stock market has been looking forward to an economic turnaround for quite a while now. So if the stock market is right and things do pick up again in the last quarter, that could also spark the economy. In that case, investing in stocks is a lot more exciting than in Bitcoin or gold, because that's where real money is being made. The companies are making profits, and I think that's ultimately the prospect that could give us another boost in the last quarter with higher prices. That way, we could get a positive outlook not just for stocks, but also for the economy as a whole. So I think there's still a lot of potential there.
Oh man, dude, I just praised you. You started off so well, and now you come out swinging and say, yeah, Bitcoin doesn't really generate anything, but the stock market, that's where the real returns are. In my opinion, that's a bold claim, that stocks are going to take off and outperform Bitcoin and so on. In the long run, it's going to be very, very difficult to outperform Bitcoin here. Or, of course, Plutus twist, maybe he actually meant Bitcoin treasury companies. Yeah, it's definitely possible that if the bull run really heats up, it'll be tough to catch up with those treasury companies. I definitely expect that the treasury companies will also ride this upward trend, and that some of them will even outperform Bitcoin itself. If that's what you meant, then thumbs up, but I don't think that's what he meant. In any case, really awesome story, guys. We're right on track, just like we expected. That's exactly how it's happening now, too. If you still want to buy Bitcoin, then check out 21 Bitcoin now. That's an absolute recommendation from me. Use the code BitcoinHotel to get up to 20% off fees when buying Bitcoin. Here you can set up savings plans. Of course, you can also buy the dip, set limit orders, use auto world transfer, and much more. You also need a good hardware wallet, which is also super important. So, I'll also put a link below for the TREZOR hardware wallet. So, use the code BitcoinHotel whenever you buy Bitcoin on 21 Bitcoin. And make sure you have your hardware wallet ready, then you're all set. There's also another discount if you use the code BitcoinHotel. Alright, then you can get started here and I'll see you soon. Peace out.